What up? What up? What up? We going live. We live, y'all. We
Hey,
live.
hey, hey.
Hey, everybody.
Greetings,
We,
greetings.
we are here in the throne room.
Good evening.
Hey, everybody. Let us do that thing that we do. Let's like and share. Give everybody a moment to get in here as we get ourselves together to talk about it's a not so Merry Christmas. Mm, here we go.
Mm.
Let's see. I got it.
Greetings.
I hear it.
Mhm.
Everybody's greetings everywhere. All
Yes.
right. It's time.
Let's get it.
Well, everyone, we just want to say thank you and welcome to the throne room, the place that we have created to purge from our issues, heal from our wounds, and find rest so that we may transform into that which we have been called and created to become. And you all know what that is. That is
Royalty.
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 We
That's
are
right.
so excited to be here with all of you today. And if you aren't familiar with our platform, we invite you as our guests to participate with us. We want to hear from you. Ask your questions, make your comments and your statements. We want to give you a shout out. My name is Monica Jackson. I'm the host, and of course, next to me on this side it is my partner in crime, Jackie Oliver from For Your Mind Inc. What's up? What's up, Jackie?
Hey, it's good. Live at 5.
That's it. Below me is the wonderful. It don't happen without her. This none of this could happen if she wasn't here. But that is the all-time favorite, the mommy of all mommies, my mother, Minister Deborah Ivory Chandler.
Oh, you
Hey,
said mine.
ma.
How about our mother?
Right,
Yeah,
right. What happened?
the
Right.
mama. She is
You
the
said the love
mama.
goes around, right?
Yes.
Enough love, overpouring, outpouring, right of
I
love.
share, I share, I share. And over here to the bottom of me, you know my friend, my co-host, he is my rider. He goes in the barbershop conversations, having those tough conversations for our men, bringing to the
Absolutely.
spotlight the healing that is needed in those communities. We just lift him up, whoop whoop, for his courageousness and taking the cover off our friend and our brother Ned White of Pure Care
Thank God for
Ministries.
you, Ned.
Hey,
Yeah, how you
and I
doing,
thank
Ned?
God for you. I am absolutely tired. Uh,
But it's a
I've been
good
lifting
tired, man.
it's a
It's a
churches.
good
good
tired
tired.
though. I've
It's
Never
a
been,
to
good
grow
tired.
weary
listen.
and well doing, right?
Amen,
Yes.
amen. It's been a day of serving for me. So I
Yes.
That's
started
what
my
I'm talking
morning
about.
off giving away turkeys, and then I had some toys to give away from an Amazon donation, and I rushed home to be here with you because this caps off my day of just you know touching and agreeing.
Amen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're excited to come to the throne room today, guys, because we really want to take the cover off on what we believe is a much needed conversation. We came up with this special edition. I mean, for the holiday season, we're going to take the covers off on some much needed conversations, some conversations that we believe that a lot of people just, they tiptoe around, but they never
Mm.
really want to have those deep, in-depth, much needed talks about. So today we're going to talk about it. We all know Merry Christmas. I see you guys out
Merry
there. Merry
Christmas.
Christmas
Merry
to my
Christmas, yeah.
Presbyterian family. I see you guys over there and from Patterson. Thank you for joining us. We want to say Merry Christmas to you guys, but let's just get real. The fact of the matter is, this season ain't all that it's choked up to be. Sometimes it ain't so merry.
It ain't so
And
many.
For a
we
lot
want
of
to bring that.
families.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Unfortunately.
stuff that goes on out here, and we're going to talk about some of the experiences that really happen, some of the anxieties and the emotions, and all of these expectations that we place on each other during that
That's the
holiday
key.
season. And what we know to be true is that often we hear these conversations from the context of we want to just be there for people who are grieving during this time, who don't
Mm,
really know what to do. But we're going to extend this conversation. We're going to invite everybody into the throne room. And
right.
everybody means, I mean, from those who love to go shopping and max out them credit cards, to those who think they got to be Santa Claus, all the way to those who feel like, hey, I got to stay and remain in isolation. And what does that mean for us? And what does that look like? And how can we as a community come together to be a support in every aspect of that? And so I'm going to just kick off the conversation by saying, what does this season mean to you? What for you, Jackie, Ned, and Mom? Uh, what does Merry Christmas mean for y'all?
Can you send it to me?
Yes. Let me see and make sure I have it because I know
Thank
it's.
you.
So, as our sister Jackie's multitasking, I guess I'll
Mm-hmm.
start it off.
Go ahead,
So,
Sister Jackie.
Merry Christmas for me. It's a in my heart of hearts, it's about celebrating the birth of Christ, right? It's how I was
Mm-hmm.
raised. It's what I've grown to love and know. Um, for a very long time, though, in my adult life, um, it was something that I actually ran from. I didn't like it because it had became so commercial and it had became so sterile in the sense of the absence of Christ
Mm-hmm.
for me. And so I didn't even celebrate Christmas for many years um, until my oldest son was born. Was when I finally said, you know what, let me, because I don't want to impose my feelings on him. I want to create his own thoughts and ideals about
Yes.
it. Um, and though at that point in time, even then I still celebrated it, but what is in the context of understanding that what's the reason for why we do this moment in this season. So yeah, so for me, Christmas is a bittersweet moment. It's like, I'm excited because here we are celebrating the birth of my risen Savior, but I also get kind of the bitter side of it because I think so many folks have lost the notion of why we do it, the fact that this is about everything other than us,
Merry
family.
Xmas.
Right,
Yeah,
Xmas. Wow, yeah. Oof.
That's how Xmas came about, right?
Xmas,
really
right? We
is.
don't want to. We don't even want to say his name. Uh,
Right.
but,
Mix it
but to
out.
take right, but to take away from that, and for me,
Yes.
it was tough because I was like, hey, listen, I don't want to have my sons growing up not understanding that Christ had risen on this in this season and in this era, but also to not be caught up in the gift exchange as the primary purpose of the day. That
Mm,
it's really about family time together. It's really about celebrating life. It's really about understanding that we have a purpose for living because he died for us. And,
mm.
and so those things are kind of lost. So it's kind of like for me, it's that bittersweet kind of a season.
Yeah. And if anyone out there wants to share what Christmas means to them, feel free to drop in the chat what it means to you. We want to
Mhm.
know what you guys feel about what this Christmas
Yeah.
season means to you too. Jackie, what does Christmas mean to
Oh,
you?
my mom wanted to say something right
Oh,
there. I
oh,
saw
go
that.
ahead, Mom. Go
You saw
ahead.
the
I'm
finger
sorry.
go
I
up.
saw that
Yeah,
finger
yeah,
Did you
go
see
yeah,
the
yeah.
finger
up.
go up?
I ain't catch it. Go ahead.
I
Go ahead,
really
Mom.
did. I'm going to tell you, I really was trying to hesitant about this one because I don't want to seem like Scrooge.
Hmm.
No, this
Uh,
is real. It's reality.
It's reality. Pull the covers off,
because
Mom.
That's it.
well, this is because as my rebellious stages, I grew up in the church with a belief of a heavy, strong belief in God and Christ, and then on my as I start to taste life and experience and challenge and to question everything, then this
Thank
meaning
you, Mom.
of Dr. Ben and all of them talked about our African roots and all of these different things came up. And then
Mhm.
I began to question this whole concept of Christmas, not the concept of Christ and God, but this thing that
Yes.
Christmas had become. And so I kind of backed away. I didn't want to participate in a lot of stuff because I know that the Jehovah's Witnesses, the Nation of Islam, and everybody, Jewish culture around us, everybody don't
Mhm.
no, everyone doesn't engage in this holiday hoopla. And
Mhm.
so when you're
Mhm.
surrounded by all of those things, then you start to really think about and re-examine what it's all about. We talk about pagan. I mean, you get with people and they talk about the pagan holidays that
Yes.
is associated with, and all of this stuff that we're being conned and tricked into this commercialization of the holiday for economic reasons. And so it bolsters the business's bottom line. So they play it all up starting in September. Halloween is not even out the way. This Halloween that we pulled in here, that's another way of getting money. It's not even out the door, and we're already got Santa Claus competing with the jack-o'-lanterns and the witches and everything else. And so when I think about the Christmas holiday, I look for past it, and I do. I, for one, struggle, and I'm like, take the covers off. I confess, and I don't engage in all of the, it's like if I have to give gift and show love, I want that love to be all the time. And I hate buying gifts for people that they really don't want.
Right.
Because I feel compelled to go out and get a gift because somebody got me a gift. Because as a teacher, the students are all bringing in, and teachers, they're all exchanging these gifts. And I'm like, I'm driving myself crazy because I'm trying to figure out, oh, this one really wants this. And I know last year I heard these people talk about re-gifting, and they returned it and wanted to gift cards. And I don't want, and then I had this incident with my grandchildren. And I'm thinking I'm doing a good thing, and I'm buying gifts that I think are appropriate. I give the gifts. And because I didn't give all the same one, I don't want that gift. I don't want that. You gave him money. Why you give him money? I want the money. I don't want this game. But you like the game. I thought you liked the game. And I was like, I'm done.
Right.
I take the fun out of Christmas right there.
Right. You snatched it out of my mouth.
Because I was all excited about giving these gifts, and then to know that the people really didn't want them. And I could have spent I want to get them really something elaborate. Then they open it up and I see them and I want them to, and then some people didn't even say, oh, thank you for the gift.
Right.
Did you get my gift?
Right.
So it's like this obligation that I have placed on myself. So when we think about Christmas, I kind of get stressed out about it because I feel like I'm being forced. It's like I went out today in the store and I'm going out and I'm like, maybe I should be buying a gift for him. Maybe I should get another gift for that. Maybe I should. And then I tell myself, no, because this gift is not coming from your heart. You're giving this gift because you're feeling compelled to.
Right.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I felt conflicted in my spirit about this thing because everybody's getting caught up. And, it's easy watching all these shows on Lifetime. They've been having these Lifetime specials and giving the gifts and the family and everybody falling in love.
Engagements is happening. People getting married. Things
and all
they
the
want.
Family happy united times. Everything's great and wonderful. So that's why I said asking me about Christmas is like, I'm not good at
the emotional roller coaster.
I love the concept of the holiday and the engagements and the atmosphere, the love that seems to flow, the people, whatever. I like the concept, but then behind the scenes, there's another layer of stuff that makes me feel like I'm glad these holidays are over. I'll be glad.
What about you, Jackie? What does Christmas mean to you?
She summed it up in a nutshell. We're on the same page. As a fifth generation preacher's kid, from as early as I can remember, I can go back to 4 years old. We really never had the opportunity to celebrate Christmas because we were always serving in church or in the community. And as a preacher's kid, you have no say-so about going. So when there's a opportunity, you got to go. It's your job to get your friends in the choir and the youth department to come with you. But we grew up serving during this time of year. So Christmas for me was about more serving and giving selflessly than buying gifts. I was raised on welfare. I lived in Georgia King Village in Newark, Brick City in the house. We were raised on welfare. So I knew my mother wasn't going to buy us no Sega Dreamcast. She didn't have money.
You weren't expecting that.
No, I wasn't. I didn't put, although I may have wanted it, I didn't put that expectation on my mother because realistically, she didn't have a job. Right. But, Christmas wasn't about gifts for me as much as it was about being with family, being with friends. So at an early age, understanding the true meaning of the holiday, for me, it was about being with family. I get to see uncles and cousins and friends I haven't seen since last year sometime, right?
Right,
Or
right.
haven't
Yeah.
seen since the last funeral. So
I
I looked
do.
forward to going to grandma's house, having that
Yeah.
Christmas dinner. And I laugh because, we always got that bag with the orange, the apple, the walnuts,
Yes.
hard candy that wasn't wrapped.
The
And
brown bag.
it looked like somebody sucked on all of them. They got stuck together
To
inside.
one big
Oh my
glob.
goodness.
Yes. But that's what I look forward to. And that didn't cost anything because the nuts came from my family in Florida. They had trees, they had pecan trees and all of
Yep.
that, lemon
And
orange trees. So
walnuts.
they send boxes up north, and that was my grandmother's gifts to the family to share what the family has created. And not to put that much pressure, although I had cousins that had all that stuff, I wasn't looking for those kind of gifts. I was looking for
Mm,
relation. I was looking for
mm,
intimacy.
Mm.
And as I got
Wow.
older and started working, I understood Christmas for kids. I made sure the kids got what they wanted and they were happy. I debunked. Ain't no Santa Claus. This is my money. I
Right.
ain't giving Santa Claus credit for nothing that I spent and worked hard for all year. I'm sorry.
Woo.
And ain't no chimney in the
right.
projects. And if he turns down a chimney in the
Right.
projects, he ain't gonna make it past one level, right?
Right.
Right.
You won't get nobody gets
But that
anything.
was the reality. We knew
Right.
that on Christmas Day, rest his soul, my boy Tom Tom would call and say, "Yo, we coming out to play basketball Christmas morning. Bring the shovel." We
Bring
come
the
out,
shovel.
shovel
Clean
off
up
the
the court.
basketball courts, and we play basketball before we even met with our family. But this was a tradition every year.
Right.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
what we look
You're
forward
right,
to.
Jackie.
The older
Yeah.
you got, it got not so merry when the like you said,
When I got to that,
conflict.
Yeah.
You're torn because
Right.
now do I got to buy them a gift because they bought me a gift, and they know you had a summer job and you had a
It's
job at the
coming.
school. Now you buying gifts, and it's like, man, I don't
mhm.
want to buy gifts because it's never
Yeah,
been about gifts.
Hmm.
It's
Yeah.
never been
that's
Yeah.
about
right.
gifts, and we put so much undue pressure on
Yeah.
each other and on our family members looking for something that we're not going to get fulfillment out of in a gift. We're looking
Right.
for
It's
Right,
never
intimacy.
gonna
We're
happen.
Jackie.
looking for
Mm,
Right.
relationship. We're looking for that coming together and sharing those joyous moments. And hey, oh, by the way, you got a gift. Most of the time, the gifts I got were nothing that I liked. I've never,
That's what
It
I'm
was
to
things
telling
you
you.
last
needed.
Christmas, to
You got what
last
you needed.
Christmas, I didn't like none of them. And
I'm with
everybody
nothing.
you.
that knows me know that. I didn't like none of them because you know what? My taste and everybody else's taste,
Not the
I like
same.
expensive things. So it was
I'm not
like,
expecting you to
hey,
get that.
yes, I
Mm.
never re-gifted. Sometimes, you hold on to it and just say, throw it in the garbage. Because,
Right.
Oh Lord.
It
Jackie,
just
You
no.
ain't
disappeared.
throw the gift in
It
the
just vanished.
garbage, Jackie.
No,
let me
It
tell
just
you,
Jackie,
disappeared.
no, Jackie.
if
But
I, and that's why people would say, don't buy Jackie nothing, because you know what? If she don't like it, you ain't going to
it's where
see
it's
it.
Don't want
going.
it.
It's
Yes,
Yeah.
Gone.
Yeah.
But
yes.
Jackie, you made an excellent point because out of all my 60 some years, the memories that I have of Christmas, the strongest ones, were the times that looking forward to getting together with my family,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hmm.
cousins, and things that you hadn't seen, and that Christmas meal with them,
Mhm.
just the laughter
Mhm.
and the talk, and it wasn't the gift, and I think
Yes.
that's what we're
That was the
missing.
gift.
That
That
was
Yeah.
the
was
gift.
the gift.
That
That
was the
was
Yes,
gift.
that
that
was
Yeah.
the
was the
gift.
gift.
That
The
was the
Yes.
gift.
love that was shared and the genuineness, everybody laughter and the talking,
Yep. Yep.
all that
Falling asleep
stuff.
on the couch after you ate, watching the
Right. Right.
games all
Yes,
Right.
day,
Because there was
yes.
always
running
that
in and
one
out of the
uncle or aunt
house.
who fell asleep and was like knocked out while everybody's playing,
And we
and then they
Yep.
laughing and
fell
talking.
asleep
Look at
again.
her over there. I know I'm married. She's gonna be asleep over there. We know it's
Right.
just a matter of time.
Yes,
You
It's
knew
just
it.
was
yes.
fun. Monica,
Yeah.
share your experience, what your memories are.
Oh, yeah.
There
Excuse
ain't
my
no
people.
Santa Claus, okay? I go to the store and I pick out my toys, and
Hello.
my mom will hold them in the trunk. And if I mess up, she gonna take it back and tell
One
me she gonna
bumper.
take it back. Okay, that's how that go.
That went back.
But that
Told you not to get on my nerves.
I guess everything went back, huh?
that no, because somebody else is gonna buy it. Believe that.
Oh my god.
No, I would no, no. In all honesty, I know that a lot of people probably have a judgmental thought process about parents who don't allow their children to
Mhm.
believe in Santa and the Easter Bunny and all those things. But I believe that my mom and my family equipped me with some things that really helped me to see life differently. And so it gave me a different perspective about how I am to show up to even my kids. So Christmas gift buying is not a big deal, but in my household, I used to think that I needed to go out and get all these kids toys and do all these things, but over time my mindset kind of shifted about what is the real reality of Christmas, especially because I had so many kids and I was so young. And let's just be real about it, I didn't have the funding to be able to go out and buy all these expensive gifts. I mean, they were
Right.
still blessed in their position, but I had to make Christmas about what the real meaning was for me. So I invented our own family tradition, which was we would have happy birthday Jesus parties, right?
That was
We
Mm.
got
nice.
an opportunity where I would cook and we would have real parties, ice cream cake and everything. The lady would decorate the cake, put Jesus, and we would have all out parties and invite people to the house. And that was again about fellowship. It was about
There it
relationship.
is.
But
Mhm.
I also want to say that I watched family disappear over time.
over time.
And so, what I
Yeah.
knew and grew up to see and love, which was I wake up,
Yeah.
I go upstairs and I say, Uncle Chubby, get up, let's go open presents. I woke up to a singular home, right? Where there weren't many people who were there to be able to wake up to and say, let's go open up the presents. Or we knew that auntie fell out with so and ain't nobody gonna come here and ain't nobody gonna
Yeah.
here. There were more siloed
Right.
parties. Oh, we found out the
Split.
cousin so was having a party over here but didn't invite
Yes,
us.
didn't invite
And
us.
so
Yes,
now that ended up
That
making some
dynamic
kind of,
came.
yeah,
Yep.
some
not so Merry
turmoil.
Christmas, right?
Yeah,
Right.
Not
that
so
not so
merry
Merry
anymore.
Christmas.
Right.
And
Well, we
it
thought we
became
were
a
all in good
tension.
graces, and now all of a sudden there's a split over here
it
and a split over there.
exposed it
Yes,
exposed a lot of the
Yes.
feelings that were there all along in ways
Yeah.
that I don't think that maybe for me as a child that I was really able to understand and to comprehend. So I'm going to bring in the perspective to this conversation as the child that as we continued on this journey and we think about what it means to us, but also thinking about what it means for our children when we're in conflict and we don't handle the business, right? And we don't bring the
The family
honesty.
together. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and we're
Yeah.
not bringing those things together in a most appropriate manner. And welcome everybody, Letty. Hey, Merry Christmas, Calvin. Um, that's right, Jazz. The destruction of the Black family. It really brought about, and I think that we're not talking about what the underlying issues are of the destruction of the Black family. What were the things that were happening economically? And mommy, me and you were having this conversation earlier about what are those things that we're coming to our families with, and what are we lacking as men being able to help provide and being able to bring in those gifts, right? Because they got to be able to first put food on the table.
Right.
If food
Hmm.
isn't coming on the table in the first place, how are we going to expect a present to be to be coming underneath a Christmas tree, right? And then to even think about a lot of these different places who say we're giving out gifts to the kids. Well, how many kids are you giving out gifts to, and what kind of gifts are you giving? Are you giving these rinky-dink dollar store, throw it away, mean nothing Barbie dolls that have no real quality to them? Where are we giving from? Are we giving from the place of let's give because we want people to know that they're loved, or are we giving just for the sake to say, oh well, we just giving, right?
But that's a
Right.
And
good
so
point, Monica,
yeah.
because but there's also we give in the places that we normally expect to have to give. But there's some
Mhm.
places
Mm.
and some families who we think have it all together. There's a good facade going on, and behind the scenes they're not able to provide like they were able to in the past, but they don't secretly don't want anyone to know that they're not in that
Mm.
same position and feeling pressured. And I
Hmm.
also recall some situations when I was younger of people that I know who engaged in some not so savory activities because
Mm.
they were trying to provide and show up with this
Mhm.
gift and not be seen as less
Where
than,
the booster
especially
at?
from a male
Right.
perspective, in the eyes of their families.
you be
Yep.
surprised. You be
Very
surprised.
surprised.
I was sharing the other day, because every year I adopt a family or I adopt a kid, and I take a couple of $100 and buy a gift, and I said, I got a list this year, and I looked at it and I said, wow. This is a 9-year-old giving me a Christmas gift for a Nord keyboard. I don't own one of them myself, and I work.
Right.
$4,000, and I work, but I'm like, the expectations of our children they've been so commercialized, and yes, they want us to mortgage the house to give them one day of happiness, something that they're not going to play with for the rest of the year or move on to. And it's like, where did this come from? Where did the value? And this is where I was having this conversation. We have to instill value in our kids so they can understand. That's why they're getting murdered for a coat and for a gold chain. And in my city, you wait till Christmas morning or the next day or later that night. You could go out on the street and get you a PS5 for $250. But know that some kid is disappointed because their crackhead mother or father stole their gift. And this is what Christmas is not so merry. And they sitting there looking for the gift that you bought for $250 out the trunk. But this is the community disparities in our community. We put so much pressure on this thing called Christmas that it becomes not so merry. Parents get in debt, they stress out. Like you said, they do things to get the money that they would not normally do. And
they wouldn't do.
What is the meaning behind all of this? What are you teaching your children?
And our children tie that gift to love. You don't love me if you didn't do it.
Because you didn't give it to me.
Right.
And then our children are influenced by their friends. And and then you got to worry about your children coming home saying, well, so-and-so got it.
So-and-so got it, why don't I have it?
They didn't make means for themselves. And it's like Christmas has become, to me, the biggest fluke. Because now it's all about marketing. We can tell by September and August what's going to be on sale for Christmas. And it's like,
that's right.
Is this what it's all about? This takes the merry out of Christmas. This takes the jolly. Because you got parents that's going to break their neck and work overtime to give it to a kid that's unappreciative, that can't even sweep the floor or wash dishes.
And now
you got a whole nother problem. Because now you're setting your kid up and you're telling your kid, what are you teaching them in that moment by giving them something? I mean, I like if you handmade me a shirt or a jacket, that's better than going to Gucci and giving me a nice Gucci hoodie.
Yeah.
Because if you took the time, this is your creativity. And those are the best gifts. Those are the ones that I don't get rid of. I keep them for decades.
So are y'all saying that merry is tied to how we interact and how we're in relationship with other people? Or are you guys saying that merry is affected by the way in which we view what Christmas is all about?
Both.
I
think that it is absolutely affected by how we interact with each other, but it is completely tied to the relationships and the connections that we make.
That's what I was going to say.
Without the connection, there is no merry. I mean, listen, we've all said it. What we valued more than anything else growing up and still today is the fellowship with family and friends and loved ones during this season. And so that's what creates the merry, the connections. And without those connections, you lose it. And I mean, that's why we have so many problems today with families and family structure, because those fellowshipping moments are becoming less and less and less. And we typically, I got to the point where we're saying, hey, we only see family members at weddings and funerals. During COVID, we're not even seeing weddings or funerals.
And that's key. That's key, Ned, because COVID changed Christmas altogether. It changed Christmas altogether. Like last Christmas, you couldn't go out and shop. You couldn't go out to a house to house. I love when they come knock on the door and bring some coquito and some. I love it. Yes, but we can't do that, and it looks like now we're heading in the same direction. How you say the game done changed with COVID? Christmas is not merry because. You go to the mall, and I remember we used to see fights on wall. Every Walmart had a fight.
It was like a Christmas ritual.
That Black Friday fight.
Yes, Black Friday. Trampling people coming in the door to get a TV that's gonna wear out in 3 years, but it's gonna cost you a whole lot. And when you look at how commercialized it is, I started looking at this maybe 30 years ago, and I said, you know what, Christmas will not get my money.
That's what I said.
The prices go up to come down, and they don't come down but a smidgen, but they make you think that you're getting something for cheap. No. If you wait till August, July, it's the same price.
Right.
Get it in July. You
You know
know,
what? Our one of our listeners, Jazz, and thank you for listening, Jazz, with us. And shout out to her because she's one of my dear friends from seminary. We went to school together, and we are still very close. One of the things that she said that she does with her son, which I can resonate with, is the fact that she says her son gets the history of Christ and a limit to what she buys, so that she really says, give me a list of 4 to 5 things, and that's it. But know then that she writes Santa on 3 of them. And she says that she thinks balance is important, and how you raise your child all year round, they will value what is good and understand the
yes.
meaning of Christmas. Children model parents, and the values that they have are a reflection of the parents. I think that is so important. And I do tell my kids, let's write a Christmas list. And in fact, I have them put down everything that their heart's desires. And I make it a big project. We get big pieces of paper and they do that things. But as they've grown older, those things that I love to do with them, they no longer wish to do because they're teenagers now, right?
Yeah,
Like
that's
they're like,
funny.
I'm half grown. I don't even care about this stuff. But I hope that whatever it was that they saw in that time frame, that eventually when they have their own families, they'll take those things. When I say we're having a Merry Christmas because we're going to have a day of service, right? And what that means is, what can we do for another? Where are we going to go to make the greatest impact, that they will be able to take those things along with them in the future as they raise their families.
Mhm.
Again, there's no set direction, there's no set way, but
There
I
isn't.
believe that it's more than just the gift. It's what are we putting in the inside? What
And
are
that
we seeing in our minds? Go ahead, Mom.
and that concept of gift, where it came from. Jazz is
Mm,
so right to understand why we give gifts in the first place. What was
Right.
the meaning and why the symbolism
the gift
behind
of
our
A
giving.
giving
gift.
gifts today? There was a
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
reason
Yeah.
behind the gift. And when we talk
Right.
about God being with us and Him being the gift, and the wise men who came and brought gifts to Him when they heard of His birth, but that's the whole concept of what it's about. We just tie the gift to Santa Claus,
Right.
Mm.
and
Well,
that's
that's
why
for
so many.
comfortability, right? That's for societal norms and standards to make everybody feel comfortable about their participation. That has nothing to do with actually what it's all about. So we can get into a whole nother conversation about the fact that y'all just frauding, right? Y'all
Right.
frauds. Y'all over here writing the backs of something else. But then they turn around and say that it's us. But in all reality, we're all setting a standard and we're all participating in something that I believe it just sets a standard that's unhealthy for a family dynamic in itself, instead of
Especially for
lifting up
family
the value of
sustainability.
family.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
yes, yeah. Let's
Yes.
talk about
And
that, Ned
and
and Jesse.
when you look at the effects aftermath of COVID, um, and Ned, thank you. You really made a difference in those families in Trenton and in Newark. Um,
You're welcome.
when you look at
Yeah.
as I delivered turkeys today and talked with people, and to hear them say, "I was wondering what we were going to eat."
Right.
Mm,
And I'm like, they took
Uh,
care, and this is the crazy thing. They took care of
The
gifts,
toys,
but
yes.
they didn't make sure they had to eat.
right.
And I'm
mm.
like, I sat back and I looked at it and I was like, you know what? For every turkey, they got a gift card for the trimmings, the other stuff, right?
Right.
And I said, how is it that when we look at the economics, people lost their jobs in this past 18
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
People lost their dwellings.
Yes.
This is the time, if at any, to put Christmas in perspective. To put it, and
Absolutely.
Apostle Jeffrey Kearney, I thank you. He preached on Sunday about the history, the real meaning of Christmas. And when I say, I sat back and I was like, yo, I've been in church all my life and I ain't never heard this.
Mm.
Wow.
This never came up. And,
Mm.
I say that to say this. We have to be so open in our mind to see what's happening, how society has monetized Christmas. It's not about what it was about for. And those of us that are less fortunate than others, you really don't have a Merry Christmas because now you're looking for where they're giving away toys, where they're giving away coats, where they're giving away food. And this is where the
Our
pressure,
pride has a good in our pocket.
yes,
Mhm.
say that word again, pride. We have families that don't have food but wouldn't ask.
Right.
And I'm
Mm,
Mm.
like, And then we have families that got their mouth out under everything that's dripping and leaking. So
You
it's
don't
like,
even need
Mhm.
it.
and this is our community. I get these
Our
notices every
people.
day, all day. Send these to your family. Send these, and I'm like, okay, if you need it, go get it. You
Yeah.
hungry, ain't got nothing to eat, but you bought toys.
But
And,
let
and
me just, I want to say, go back to something you said, Jackie, which is really important. You said, as you handed out turkeys, you talked to the family.
Absolutely.
There's a difference from
There's
Yeah.
the
handing
difference.
out and giving and just saying here another number in
There
a
it is.
line and throwing
mm-mm.
something in a bag. And this is not to knock anybody. I just want to say those institutions who are out there who are trying to fulfill a duty and a purpose and who are trying to give to families, this is not to knock you. But if you don't know the people whom you're giving to, it
Right.
really
Try to
doesn't
connect.
address a real need. How
Yeah.
Mhm.
can you address a need in a community and in a family and bring and help to bring restoration and healing? All these big words that people want to use. How can you truly do that if you aren't opening your mouth to say, how are you doing?
Yes.
Not just can I
And
pray for
connecting
you?
afterwards,
No,
What's
right?
your
And connecting
name?
no,
afterwards, right?
no.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, one thing I do not like, especially with the faith-based community, is when I see these places giving out toys and they got them standing in a welfare line. Yo,
Right.
now
Yeah.
people gotta wait to get some. If you're gonna give it to them,
Give it to them.
give them some dignity about
That's
themselves.
right.
Don't
That's
make
like I
them
said, that
stand
pride.
online. They already don't have money. They
Right.
already don't have
And
hope.
they
Some of
already
them don't even
know.
have
That's
hope.
right. And so I'm gonna
And
put
then
you
you
on
making them,
display.
yes,
Put you on display and make you let now.
Yeah.
Now
Acknowledge their
all the
personhood.
multitudes have to
Yeah.
see that you don't have, and you got to stand in line.
Make an
It's
yes,
the worst
announcement,
thing we can
and
do.
especially when it may be that you at once had it, and you don't
yes.
have it anymore,
Right. Right.
and you don't
Mm.
want everybody. It's like
Listen.
I don't want everybody to know my business. I got to have some pride left, which is why we stay and lack. Why we don't go out to those places that can give it to us, because we don't want to be seen that way, because our desire is to have. Not everybody wants to be in the line. Not everybody was looking for the handout. You really
Right.
don't
No.
want it, but there's a time where we are falling in that place of need.
Yeah.
And so there we are. We find ourselves in those places. And I have to just add this too, because I on this thing about families going out getting their toys and toys and toys. Why are we focusing on the toys? Because our children live in society.
Hmm.
They go to school.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I remember me caught up in my religiosity and so strict on everything with Monica, and I'm not celebrating. No, these holidays, no costume for Halloween, and I go to school. She comes home and she got this paper bag costume. I'm like, what is this?
Because they tried to make me fit in.
Because they said I didn't have. If I could afford to buy you a costume, if I wanted you to have a costume, I would have given you a costume. But
Uh-huh.
see, I had to deal with something too, because yes, my philosophy, I may have been correct in my mindset, but the way I was handling it reminded me back, take me back to Jazz's response. Is my daughter was living in society, going to a school and being ostracized, and looked down on and picked on because she did not fit in. Same thing happens even with kids from different religious groups. During
Hmm.
these holiday times, the parents either have to keep them home or the kids would come sit in the room with me
Uh-huh. That
or
was
another
me.
teacher, so they
Yeah.
didn't connect because the parents
Mhm.
said they didn't want them to engage, because they weren't looking at the fact that we are in this world but not of this
All of
world,
Of
us.
the
and we
world.
have to train our kids so that they don't rebel, right,
Right.
Monica? So that they don't
Yes.
want to rebel completely against everything that you're trying to teach them. They're not going to hear it, because all they hear and feel is the ostracization that is coming towards them, and the put
Yeah.
downs and the bullying.
Right.
So we opened them up. And so these parents, the kids are going to go back to school. I got my whatever. I got my this. I got my that. And then the poor kid sits here and says, well, what did you get? Where
Hmm.
did you go?
Mm-hmm.
And so the parents are like, okay, I'll do this trade off, because I don't want my child to go out here and feel less than.
Right.
I'll
Yes.
make her do without the
Yep.
meal. We'll do something with the meal. People don't see that behind the closed doors, but they're going to know about the toys. They didn't have the bike. They didn't have the sneakers. So we
Mm-hmm.
You know, everybody got new clothes and new jackets, new sneakers. Everybody sees that when they come
But
back.
I, I
They know
I
jacket.
do have to come to your defense. You taught me something though, because number one, I got toys and new clothes all year round.
You
Like I,
did.
I
Right.
always
You
had new
weren't
stuff.
without.
So I probably was one of the very few who just always had all the time, right? But you gave me a different type of value. So I couldn't watch TV, but I read books.
Yeah.
And my
Mhm.
children, when they get upset or they want to be by themselves, they read a book, right? So you instill different types of value in me that really help ground me in those moments where I wanted to rebel, right? And so I think that we have to be kind and give ourselves grace on both
On
ends
both
to
sides.
say,
Yes.
right,
Absolutely.
to say,
Balance.
okay, exactly that word. Took it right out my mouth, Ned. The word that Jazz said was there has to be some balance, right? And I think that that's a word that we take lightly, and it's cliche because we hear it alongside of boundaries and things all the time. And I
Yeah.
think that we really need to understand when they say we need work life balance, what this really means. What does it mean to have balance within a society or a world that we live in, but not are a part of, right? Like, or that we're a part of, but we are not really having to. Do we have to assimilate to the values of society? Jackie, I see your face. Don't talk about it.
Well, but when you understand that you're in but not of, you understand, and this is something we teach our children, and I teach definitely the young people that I come in contact with. It's not about things because things evaporate, things perish.
That's
You know,
right.
that's why you have perishables and non-perishables. However, when you teach, like when your mother taught you to read the book, um, that's something that will echo throughout your family for generations, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And this is where we teach our children substance, where we teach
Mm,
our children not to be materialistic, where we
Hmm.
teach our children the real value is right here. Me,
right.
I'm the value, not the things,
Not the
but
thing,
I'm
but
the
you.
value. And
Right.
you
Right.
know what? I've learned, and I've since had conversations with my mother about my childhood, and things that I didn't like. But I learned how to be resourceful, but because she couldn't. And as a
Yeah.
basketball player, I had coaches, I had mentors. You know, everybody loved Cookie, everybody loved Jackie. So I was good. You know, I was good.
Mm-hmm.
I came home with sneakers. My mother couldn't afford half the stuff I came home with because we're on welfare. But
Right.
you know what? Because I played
Mm,
ball, everybody knew best gift for her at
provision.
Christmas is some sneakers.
It's some
She got a
Snickers.
Mhm.
Yep.
tournament.
Community.
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's where
That's
exactly.
that's
That's
Yes.
where
the
the
connecting.
bench, the community steps in,
That's
and,
right.
and that's one thing I learned from my mother's pitfall to be community. And my mother was very much community. She fed people, and I was a kid. I was like, yo, they mother get food stamps. Why they eating our food? You know, why do we gotta? And I never
You sound like my
understood.
They take
husband.
it from my house.
Yeah, I can't go to their house and eat because they ain't got nothing. So why's all these kids in our house, mom? And my mother would always say,
Hilarious.
"Shut up, Cookie." And that's if you hear me at any time, you might have heard me there the most. Shut up, Cookie. That's
Shut
me
up.
telling myself,
Mm-hmm.
"Shut up," because you don't need to say that. Because I was that kid that was insensitive because we already didn't have, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
Right.
then you gave away what we had. But in the
Yeah.
meantime, it brought my friends closer because now, okay, his mother ain't home. He can hang out in the living room till his mother get home. Now we
Mhm.
playing,
Mm.
you know, and
Trust
it
on
brought
the way.
relation. Now,
Yeah.
Right.
now we
Right.
not friends. That's my little brother. We go
Yep.
outside on the basketball court where I was lacking, yo, that's my sister. Don't touch her. If y'all see something happen, y'all step in and take care of it.
Mhm.
But this is how you build community. Each
I am
one,
my brother's
each
keeper.
one, yes, reach
Mm.
one. And that's what we
Yeah.
learned by not having how to take the situation and make the best of a situation, even though we wanted more. After a while, I didn't even miss it. After a while,
Yeah.
it don't matter because you know what? I'm getting something that's more fulfilling than a toy that's gonna break in 6 months. I'm getting
Mm-hmm.
a relationship. And these are people that I grew up with. I still got 40, 50-year old friends that I knew as a kid. Like I was a kid with kid friends, and we grew up, went from grammar school to high school to college together, and we still are friends, still stay in contact. And you know what? It all came from just reaching out and being compassionate, understanding we all got a situation. Let's help each other out.
Right.
You know what,
Yes,
Jackie? That's.
And
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Ned.
no, I was going to say real quick, but go ahead, Mom. I'll save it till after you're done.
I was going to say that thing that the point that you're bringing out here is the importance of our being there for another during this time. Because
Mhm.
there's so many people who have lost loved ones who are living on the memories. They can't disconnect from the memories of what the holiday used to be when the loved ones were there. And so
Right.
now they're in this place of they can't reconnect. It's not a merry for them because they're past, they're living in the past and they feel withdrawn and they withdraw. Maybe in family and friends may be there, but they withdraw from the holiday time. Or they could be on the other spectrum where there is nobody there anymore because everybody that they held dear and near to them that they used to interact with and engage with and during this time of connection and relationship, because
Mhm.
that's what it was, the restoration of relationship the, behind the holiday.
Mm,
Um, no one's
Yeah.
there. And so
Yes.
they're in the
mm.
solitude. And so they
Yeah.
grieve the loss. And even though everything seemed, I mean, the food could be there, the gifts could be there, the finances could be there,
Oh,
but
Lord.
the love, the family members are no
Yeah.
longer there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's what
Yeah.
we're facing with this COVID pandemic. Um,
Right. It-
really, those people that you spend holidays with, are they still here?
Yeah.
Those people that you depend on, depend
yeah.
on a certain gift from a certain person. Everybody know every Christmas you getting a watch from this one. But
What
he
were you
died
saying,
last year.
Ned?
Yeah, he died last year. So what do you do?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To that point, I think to both of your points, I think that one of the things that has shifted for us as a community and as a people is the moral compass that we've all grown accustomed to has kind of swayed in one
Mm,
way or the other. And what I mean by that is that the things that we're all holding near and dear, the things that we've built our lives on, has kind of
Hmm.
changed. And it's not the same playing field. And so when and COVID completely knocked it out of the park for a lot of families because
Yes.
so many of us were dependent upon the community, our village,
right.
our connectability or ability to connect. And then all of a sudden, it was taken from us, or because of life circumstances, we get older and we, move away or we shift how we live. That thread of commonality is now
Mm,
diluted or removed, and now
Yeah.
I don't feel the same way. Or I said this to a family member recently. I said we all grew up under one umbrella for a sense, right? Under the matriarch of the family, whoever that may be, who set the tone for how we would operate, act, and behave. And
Uh-huh.
if that
right.
matriarch passes on and no one steps into that role, now all of a sudden it's just like everybody's doing their own thing.
Yeah.
There's no one,
Right.
there's no common thread that's saying, "Oh, wait a minute, you out of pocket. Listen, pull that back in, baby. Come here, sit down. Let me talk to you."
Hmm. We don't feel
Those
the
days,
love.
that love of responsibility, accountability, and trust is now kind of removed, and so we don't look at the seasons, these holiday seasons, in
The
the same
same.
fashion. I don't
No.
look at it as though a lot of people don't look at it as though it's like, hey, this is my time to connect with auntie because or hey, you know what? I'm taking this day off because I'm going over to grandma's house to learn how to make that sage stuffing and eat it in the
Yes.
new year, or
Yes.
we're
Pass
going
down those traditions.
right.
Yeah, we lost
That's
that.
removed. That's been removed
Yes.
for us, and so you lose that ability to connect to each other by the circumstances that we live in every day, and that's the sad part because we're not able to do that like we used to, or we've chosen not to do it like we
So
used to.
Ned,
Mhm.
what is the hope in this present season?
Oh wow, wow, really? What's the hope? I mean, there's
Yeah.
always hope, right?
Yeah.
I would have
Yeah.
firmly believed that for me,
Going on. Yes,
right?
Yeah.
there is.
There's always hope, but I think what my prayer has always been, and especially in these last 18, 19 months, has been that folks get a grip on what used to be that worked for us as a family and a community. And so the hope is that there is still the possibilities of having a
There
merry
is.
Mm,
Christmas, if
mm,
we're willing to do the effort, the work to hold those pieces together. It's the and I'm gonna date myself because a lot of folks might not remember these days of back when the family got around the table and we all did one big 1,000-piece puzzle. Everybody's
Mhm.
finding a piece to the puzzle and putting the puzzle
Yes.
together.
Mhm.
And,
My
and so
aunt used to do
it,
them.
right, everybody was at the table, even if it took us like a week to do it. You came home every day. It's like, oh, I found another
And
piece.
it
I found
sits
another piece.
there.
The concept of all of us combining our efforts to make that puzzle come together is missing for our families. And I think that
Mm,
that ability to realize that your piece to the puzzle has value, no matter how big,
mm,
no matter how small, whether it's the corner piece or the middle piece, it's a part of the puzzle. And so all of us have to remember we got to put our pieces to the puzzle back on the table so that we
mm,
have something to look at. We don't have
mm.
that
That's
image
good.
anymore because all of us are like, oh, I got my pieces, and we put them in our
Put in my
pockets.
pocket and go. I'm
And
good.
we go on somewhere else and be like, I got, but your
Because
pieces
it's too
are,
many people with the
yeah,
handout.
right. Your pieces
Mhm.
look great in your hand, but imagine how they would look if they were on
When
the
you put
table
them
with all
together.
the other
That's
pieces.
good, Ned.
Yeah, that was good. That was good. That's good.
So yeah, there's
Yeah.
hope.
Who else wants to take a stab at what's the
So
hope in
I
this
say
season?
that there's always time. If once we come to an understanding of these things, we can always. The beauty in Christ is that we can always start now. We got
Mm,
today, and we can start this Christmas in the lives of the people we're connected with to begin to recreate this thing for those who are willing, because not everybody is willing, because there's so many the damage
mm,
and the harm and the offense can run deep, but we can stay consistent and try to recreate the traditions, new traditions, starting now. We create our own family tradition that this is what we're going to do. I'm reminded of the reason why Kwanzaa was embraced.
mm.
The
Mm-hmm.
principles.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
so that we could start to remember as a people the
People.
Mm,
principles of family and resilience, and each day to study
Yes.
and unite at a different person's house. We did that when years ago. I don't
Yeah.
know if you
Yeah.
remember,
Yeah.
Monica, going from house to
of
house,
course, I
having a
remember.
dinner with a different family and a different one of the principles, and reminding ourselves. And I know people say, "Oh, it's a man-made. The man made that up." Well, all of this stuff is made up, except for the fact
Mm-hmm.
Basically.
that he wasn't. Christ wasn't born on December 25th. I
Right.
Mm,
mean, so we have to come to grips with the fact that we just trying to put some dates, and it's just symbolic of the fact that he did come, and he
Yes.
did, yes.
Yes.
So we remember that he did come, and so it's we don't get hung up on semantics, and to know, and that was the hope that as long as he's with us, God with us, Emmanuel, that we still
mm.
have the opportunity to check ourselves, Ned,
That's
to
right.
check ourselves in our peace and make sure our peace, we know that our
It's
peace
brought to the
fits.
table.
That's right.
And
Mm-hmm.
yes, and bring our piece to the table and not get caught
Yeah.
up on what's lacking, what the culture of society said, to make sure that we're showing up in our families to those who we get into contact as we minister,
That's right.
as we serve,
I
that
think,
we are being obedient to the call, right?
yeah,
It's
I
Mhm.
think
Yeah.
that that's
what to
important.
do.
It's
That's
just, I think the thing about what you're saying is is not so much that whether to worry about whether or not our piece fits, but at least be willing to bring the piece to the table,
Yes,
right? That
yes.
oftentimes we don't even take the time out to see that there's a table to bring the piece to.
Amen.
too.
And so I just encourage us, if I say what's the hope in the season, to just to be able to see beyond our limited thinking, and our expectations and our traumas, that there is a
Yeah.
world beyond the experiences that we've had. And yes, although we've experienced them, and although they are our realities, there are abilities and opportunities to make a new reality for ourselves. And that's important to me at this moment. Jackie, um, I ask you, what's the present hope in this season?
Um, Mo, you taught a lesson that still resonates with me when you
Mm,
came to our office, and I say this all the time. It has become part of my forte.
which
Um,
one?
I'm
Oh,
about to
she
tell
said,
you. It's not about the present, but it's about
Mm,
presence.
Yes.
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 And
Yes.
when I talk with people all the time, you could give a gift and it'd be okay, but your
Mhm.
presence has
Yes.
such long, lifelong,
Mm,
lasting
That's
memories
right.
that when the kids talk about it, when they're grown to their kids and you were long gone, it still resounds.
Yeah.
The hope that we will get back to presence and not a present, because that's
Mhm.
what it's all about. They came looking
Yes.
for his presence.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
They came looking for his royalty,
Yes.
your
Right.
highness, his
Amen.
majesty.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They didn't. They came with presents, but they
Yeah.
wasn't looking for a present.
Present in return. That's
Right.
right. They
Yes,
already gotten it.
they got it. They got it, and that's where. And I say this all the time when we look at this season and we go to the fact that you don't have to spend a dime to create a memory.
Hmm.
Hmm.
You just need time.
Need time.
That's right.
That's something that's valued above anything, and not you can't return time or you can't replace time. So in these moments while you're together as family, forget about a gift. Everybody that asked me what I wanted for Christmas, I got my own Christmas gift. I went and bought me some socks. That's what I
My
needed
mother
and wanted.
said.
Some nice socks. But I tell people all the time, it's
Oh
not about a
gosh.
gift. It's spend time with me. That let me know you really, because you could give me a gift and keep moving.
Yeah.
But when you sit down and spend time with me, that means you value me. That
Yes.
means you designated this moment in time just for me to sit with you and to make a memory that will last both of us forever. So present,
That's
I
right.
don't want that. I want your presence.
That was good.
Excellent.
That
Excellent,
Awesome.
Jackie.
Awesome.
yeah.
Excellent. The
Awesome.
That
genuineness of it, because the gift may be small and something that really is not significant in the eyes of many. But when it
Hmm.
comes from the person who you know who is genuine, and they're
Yes.
bringing that to you, their time, even for those people who are may find themselves alone, when we pick up that phone call just to reach
goodness.
out to them during this time of year and be in
Right.
genuineness, the gift, the value in that someone thought of you in
Outweighs
this
everything.
moment of when everybody else is busy, that you took the time out, how the cost of it, your time is the greatest gift.
Yes.
Hmm.
I will
Yes.
add to that that Jackie, the reason why how that training that I put together came about was because I was going through something with my children. I had gone through something with my children, and I had prayed to God to give me this job, and I had this big old job, and I was traveling all over the place. I was doing everything, and I found myself in a place where I was going to lose everything. And I had
Mm.
to figure out why
Mm.
were my children, I was in the midst of a divorce, and it was just everything that could have gone haywire went haywire. And my mom said, "You can't do it." And I'm crying. I'm hysterical because I'm saying to her, "What do you mean? I have to be able to support these kids. I'm a single parent and I'm by myself. I have to be able to put food on the table. I got to be the one to do it." And she asked me a question about whether or not what I was looking for was really in the job, or was I
Mm.
looking for a provision to be made? And did I trust
Mm.
God enough to be
Wow.
able to provide it? And that brings me to this whole reason for the Mary, right? When I step back and I look at that, not only did God provide, but he provided and restored even
Yeah.
greater, right?
Hmm.
The things that I saw with my children, I
Wow.
got an opportunity to see them and they got an opportunity to see me. We began healing together.
Yes. Yes.
And
Awesome.
so I will say, Calvin, and the fact that you say we can't forget about how technology affects us and our ability to connect with one another. I will say to you in that you're right, but it is up to us to think about how we're going to see our families and how
Yes.
we're going to show up and how we're going to require our families to show up. So, are you going to create the basket at the door that says at 4 o'clock, y'all got to put y'all cell phones here? Or are y'all going to turn off the internet usage and be intentional and bring back dinner, family
Hmm.
dinner?
Right.
Yes.
Are
Right.
you gonna
My husband's a
require
stickler
your
on
children?
that.
Yeah,
Yes.
Mm.
it's time.
Yes.
Are you gonna bring what happens at the dinner table is life changing.
Changing.
Yes,
It
it
is
is.
transformative. You will get to learn not only about others, but you will learn
Mhm.
about yourself at the
Yes.
dinner table.
Yes.
So as we enter
Mhm.
into this season and we have an ability to gather together with people, with our families, with our friends, make it a point, be intentional about creating
There it
new
is.
traditions. Be
Yes.
intentional about saying, hey, we have this table, here's my piece.
Hmm.
I'm glad you said that, Monica, because I want to share this with you, and I know we're wrapping up. My nephew and I, my 15-year-old nephew and I, every year, and I didn't pay it no mind. We go to this Christmas concert, right? So this year, last year we couldn't go because everything was locked down. This year we get to the concert, and I didn't say it. He said it. He leaned over in the middle of all the loud bass player, horns, lead guitar, acoustic. He said, "Auntie, this is our family tradition. We've been doing this for 9 years." Now,
Mm,
Wow.
the 15-year-old could recognize that. And I had to think, like, how many concerts have, and he looked forward to it. So this year he said, "Can I bring my friend?" And I'm
Hmm.
like,
mm, yeah.
when a kid, he didn't want a gift, he wanted the tradition. That
Vision.
kicks
The
off
Yeah.
Christmas
time.
every
Memory.
year. Go to the concert, hear the Christmas music. We go have some hot cocoa bombs, drop the bomb in the hot water and the coke. And I'm sitting back, I thought nothing of it. But
Yeah.
it
The
meant so much
small
to
things, the
him.
Meant
little
so much to
things.
him.
What kid want to take a kid to church to hear music at 15? And I was
See?
like, you know what? Bring back the
Because
holiday
it wasn't
tradition.
about the music.
Exactly. It was about the relation.
The
It
relationship.
Yeah.
was about
Yeah.
something that he could predict that was going to
Yeah.
happen year after year after year that brought him
Mhm.
joy. The
And we
lights, the
wanted to invite
festivities.
someone else
Anticipation
into
There
it.
it is.
And we want to
Yes,
Right.
pull other people into it so that they
as a
can begin to
feeling.
Right.
experience.
yes,
Experience that feeling.
And that's
yes.
where the Mary comes.
Amen.
Mm,
Amen.
And it's not so merry when the relationships are broken.
Yes.
Our relationships to each other, our relationships to our finances, our relationship to our spouses and children. When all these relationships are broken, it takes the merriness out. We are disconnected and disjointed. We don't see
Yeah.
our peace as fitting with anyone else. We see a
Mhm.
standalone, and we
Yes.
have to begin to restore. And restoration and healing comes in community. We were never meant to be alone. So we have to
mm.
Yes.
learn genuine ways to
That's right.
reconnect.
Come together.
Yeah.
When
Even
you
if you
said
got to
that,
start
Mom,
small.
Hmm.
yeah, when you said that and you were talking about we are standalone piece, what came to my mind was the fact that in the brokenness, we with our standalone piece are going around to every different puzzle we can
Trying
find,
to see
trying
if
to
we could
see
fit.
where we
Mm.
fit
Yes.
in. And
Yes.
that is where we get messed up along the
That's where we
line.
fall apart. Yep.
So yeah, and
Yeah.
Ned, that was a
Good
great
point.
analogy.
Yes, it was,
Mhm.
Ned.
Good
Yep.
job, Ned.
Yeah,
Yes.
Listen to
yeah.
the
Yep. Yep.
spirit, right?
Yeah. So
Mm.
as we wrap up and we talk about being able to mend broken relationships and put back the merry into
Mhm.
Christmas, let's begin to leave our listeners with at least one thing that they can do and begin with to begin what we call the healing journey, because I think that that is what this is all about, right? That
Yeah.
we are
Yeah.
beginning to see ourselves in a different space, heal, and on the process of moving towards our wholeness. What do you guys want to leave with them as we end off with what word could we give to begin this journey?
Mm.
Hope. It gets better. It gets better.
It gets better.
Sometimes it looks like, especially family relationships, because family can separate for years.
Hmm.
It looks like, no, let them go, cut them off. Sometimes you got to
Hmm.
let time and nature take its course, but be there and let them know that authentically you're there. And that's one thing that when people, you can live without a lot of things, but you can't live without hope.
Yeah.
You cannot live without hope.
My word set is connect.
Hmm.
It came back. It comes to me. Reach out and touch somebody's
Somebody's
hand.
hand
Make this
Make this
This
world a
will
better
world
world
a
be
better
a
place
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 if
if
we
we
if you
can.
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 And we can. We
yes.
can.
We are
And
capable.
we have to take the risk.
Yes.
of connecting.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know I'm not, I know sometimes I can see myself as alone, and I think about those people, persons who are depressed and going through some mental stuff
Mm.
during this time,
Yes.
and who feel like the spouse died, they don't have the loving romantic, because everything's romanticized, and they don't have that romance that's depicted in the Lifetime movies. Um, and so we pull ourselves out, but we got to take the risk relationship, risk connecting. Take that risk.
Yeah. Yeah. There's value in taking the risk.
Yeah.
Mm.
There's value in taking the risk.
Take that risk
I
with our children. Take that risk
Mm-hmm.
to create the tradition. Oh, they don't
yeah,
want to do that. How do you know?
How you know? Try it.
Connect in a
establish it
different
and
way.
see. Yep. Absolutely. So I'm right there with you guys. I think that kind of resonates with me because I think that it's all about the connecting and building relationships. Um, I'll take it a step further and saying serve,
Yeah.
Mm.
because it's through our servitude that we meet folks and we connect to people.
Yes.
And so if you put yourself in a position to serve, you'll find yourself building friendships, building relationships, building
Yes.
connections that might last
Mm-hmm.
you a lifetime. Um,
Lifetime.
and serve.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it's so funny because I was just reminded today by a friend as I was out today serving
Mm-hmm.
and helping folks. They reminded me there's this wonderful humanitarian who made a quote many years ago that I loved, and he reminded me of that quote because I shared it with him many moons ago. Muhammad Ali once said that servitude is our way of paying rent for the space that we occupy here on earth.
Mm.
Mm.
Um, and so as we serve folks, we're basically just paying for our time and our space here. So we should value that. We value our space. We value our time. We should value our serving, and it'll allow us to connect better to other people.
Yeah. I'm going to push this rope, and I'm going to say forgive.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mm.
That's a good
Yes.
one,
For,
Monica.
Yes.
forgiveness
Yes.
of myself so that I can be able to see that there's hope. And then I'll be able to
Mhm.
forgive another so that I can connect. And
Yes.
because I've forgiven, restoration can happen so that I can serve.
Yes.
Because
Yeah.
I want to serve from a God honors a cheerful
Person.
giver.
Yes.
Yes.
A
Yes.
genuine place,
Right.
not
Yes.
I want to
compulsive.
be able to do that. And I cannot do that when I'm carrying all my stuff. I'm
Yeah.
bleeding and I got all my issues. They're pouring out of me. I can't do that if I haven't laid
The
myself
victim.
down, and
Mm.
forgiven me, forgiven you, forgiven us as a community, that we have the opportunity to
To
be
see the
restored.
hope and
Yeah.
serve, can make the connections and serve.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just want to thank each and every one of our listeners who's tuned in today. We just want to say thank you. We want to say to you that all of the time that you've taken to step into the throne room with us to really kind of flesh this thing out, we don't have all the answers. We're not trying to come to the conversation as the expert, but we want to just create the opportunity, the space for us to be able to have these conversations so that they might be modeled in your home, within communities, within churches, within other systems, so that we might all find our way toward our healing. We want to say to each and every one of you, we wish you a Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
We wish you a Merry Christmas. Join us back here next Wednesday at 5 p.m. right here in the throne room.
5 o'clock.
We have another special edition as we move into the new year. We look to see you then, and we hope you guys have a wonderful holiday.
Happy holidays.
Bless
Happy
you. Happy
holidays.
holidays to you all. Love you.
Love you.